So what happened? Americans are angry. That's the headline. They're angry for two reasons. High prices. It's an enormous issue. And President Trump has got to understand his legacy is tied in directly with lowering prices for working Americans and retirees. That's it. How simple is that? Secondly, the government shutdown. People don't like chaos. They don't understand why the government shut down. They just know that every day they hear scary stuff. They don't know why. They don't know who's right, who's wrong. You guys do, because you're the PhDs of American consumers by watching what I'm putting out there and listening on the radio. You have a PhD. You're engaged. You're getting information every day. Most of your peers are on Netflix or in some bubble world. They don't know anything, but they do know how they feel. And Americans are angry. Now, the government shutdown worked to the Democratic Party's advantage, even though they caused it. Life is not fair. All right. So, yesterday, Donald Trump, the president of the United States, and by far the most charismatic leader in the country and the head of the Republican Party, was not engaged in the vote. Yes, he made a few calls, he made a few endorsements, but he was not involved. That suppressed Republican turnout. Democrats were way more motivated to go to the polls, many of whom hate Donald Trump. And whatever he likes, they're going to vote against it. That's a motivating force. Now, this is the worst. Almost every single pundit said, oh, this is a harbinger, word of the day. They didn't use that word because they don't know what it means. This is a forecast for the midterms in November 26th. No, it's not. And that's what I said on News Nation. I scolded them all. I said, no, because 12 months from now, there are going to be tremendous changes in this country. It's not going to be the same place in 12 months. Why? Because there are so many unresolved situations that are in the courts. The tariffs, immigration raids, National Guard, on and on and on and on. Drug interdiction by blowing the hell out of these people. It's all in litigation. By this time next year, it will be settled. And the economy could go either way. Tariffs might lead to a lot of benefit, or they might not. We don't know. So to say that a minor vote, and that's what this year was, is going to lead to an outcome is just dumb. All right? And I don't care what these people, if I'm insulting them, I'm insulting them. Okay. So don't worry about that. Both parties have to worry about how this is going to evolve. Look, if Mamdani is a disaster in New York, and I don't know even if he'll try to do anything, he might just sit there. I don't know. But if he's a disaster, that is going to hurt the Democratic Party and the progressive left big time and lead to the defeat of New York Governor Hochul. That's what that will do. But we don't know how bad this man is going to be. We will know in, 6 months. So there are a lot of things that are undefined. Now, Virginia, let's get specific. Bad Republican candidate. I listened to her once. I said, no way she wins. They could have put up anybody against her. There's no way. that she's going to win. She got waxed. Jersey. Still can't figure out Jersey. I don't know what the people who voted for Miss Sherrill as governor, and she's not a nut. She's a moderate Democrat, military vet. But what do you hope to get out of that vote? Democratic Party is going to raise your taxes, and Jersey's up to here with taxes. You think you're going to get tax relief from the Democrats? You're not. So what did you vote for? The only thing I can figure out is they voted against Trump. That's it. And Jersey is the same as where I am in Nassau County, Long Island. It's the same folks. My mother was raised in Teaneck, New Jersey. And this is really the ultimate irony. My county here went all red. They revolted against Mamdani in New York City. I live just on the outskirts of Queens, okay, just over the city line. And Nassau County, huge, okay, on the Republican side, because they know here, because it's a different demographic, and we'll get into that. They know what a disaster the potential is in New York City. They don't want it. And the guy here, Blakeman, who runs the county, did a good job. Very low crime, didn't raise taxes. So why would you vote against him? Okay. The Jersey thing, I was going to run a soundbite, but most of you people don't live in New Jersey. You don't care what happens in New Jersey, and I understand. But I don't know why the Democrats won so big in New Jersey, and they won big. Okay, now Zoran, he was such a better candidate than Cuomo. It was like the LA Dodgers playing the Pittsburgh Pirates. Sorry, Pittsburgh Pirates. It was just no. Mamdani was a very good campaigner. Smiling guy. Hi, how are you? I'm going to give you everything. Non-threatening. And Cuomo, okay. So that meant a lot. That meant a lot. Just people who are uninformed and the younger people. I'm going to give you the numbers in a moment. But the big thing was that up to 50%, and we don't have the stat. We should have it, but we don't. There are 5 million registered voters in New York City. 5 million. Okay? Most states don't have 5 million people. Well, I shouldn't say that. A lot of states don't. Half didn't show up. Half of the voters in New York City didn't show up because they don't care who's running the show, right? And there was a big turnout for the mayoral race, more than 2 million. But when half don't show up, anybody can win. And many of those who voted in New York City are born overseas. Now, this is going to sound like a slight. I'm sure the internet smear merchants, gutter snipes will pick it up. Traditional American values are still embraced by most indigenous Americans who were born here and whose family passed down the values of self-reliance, competition, freedom. You're born overseas, you have a totally different value system. You may want our values, but you were raised in a different culture where things happen differently. When you have an enormous amount of foreign voters, as you do in Los Angeles and New York City, you're not going to have the same kind of vote you had 20 years ago. That flooding the zone with immigrants has worked for the Democratic Party. I didn't know whether it would, but it has. It's altered everything. And it's not that these are bad people. They're here legally. They can vote legally. They work much harder, in my experience, than people born here. I'm generalizing, of course. But their culture is different. And that means a lot. So, to sum up, this has got nothing to do with the midterms. But President Trump should see this as a warning. Got to bring those prices down. Can't be hammering working people with high insurance, high utilities, sky high food. You're going to lose. Even if the Democrats aren't going to do anything about it because it's essentially their fault, Biden was so bad, that's not what Americans do. The incumbent party always takes it between the eyes, which is what's happened on the shutdown. And that's the memo. All right, here's some numbers. Mamdani is a communist, by the way, and there's no doubt about that. And I do that on my YouTube special. If you're not a subscriber, it's free. It's youtube.com/Bill O'Reilly. All right, I'm going to do the communism. He's a communist. Okay. So exit polling. Here's who voted for Mamdani by race. 46% of white New Yorkers, 55% of black, 49% Latino, 61% of Asian. Now, Asian is South Asian. And you look at the Cuomo, so Mamdani beat him in every category, white, black, Latino, and Asian. Asian number was huge. A lot of Asians in New York City, and they vote. Religion. Protestant, 42% voted for Mamdani. Catholic, 33%. Jewish, 33% of New York Jews voted for Mamdani. He doesn't like Jews at all. What's the matter with you people? I don't know. I don't know what's the matter with people. And if you're an atheist, 75%, because communism is atheism. Okay, there you go. Age, 18 to 29, 78% Mamdani. Then it goes down. 30 to 44, 66%. 45, 64, 43. Over 65, 36. The wisdom of age. So we have a situation where I don't know how quickly New York is going to deteriorate. I do know many people are going to move out because I know them. And real estate projects will stop. That means jobs will decline. Tax receipts to the city will decline. All of that is inevitable. Violent crime will rise. And I don't see anything good on the horizon. I guess he'll get the free bus rides. I don't know. But then you'll have the homeless people sleeping on the buses 24/7. And that's the memo. And that's the stats, and that's the best analysis you're going to hear. If it isn't, Bill at BillO'Reilly.com. Let me have it. Let me have it. Joining us now from New York City, Doug Schoen, who's now a Floridian. Schoen left us here in New York to fend for ourselves. But he's our go-to guy on political strategy. He's the author of the book, The Politics of Life. You might want to check that out. Am I making any mistakes in my analysis? Anything you quibble with?
You know, Bill, I was listening, hoping that I'd have some disagreement, but you're fundamentally right. And I say this not to be a flatterer, but to just recognize the obvious. Trump has emphasized issues other than inflation and the economy and prices to his detriment. You're exactly right. It is that simple. With all the emphasis on immigration, he's actually succeeded in stopping illegal immigration. He has not succeeded in bringing down inflation far enough or prices enough. That's number one. Number two, you're right about the shutdown. The incumbent party gets blamed. Trump was blamed. And my assessment of New Jersey is they were more concerned with Trump and the shutdown and affordability than they were with local issues. That means the Democratic campaign succeeded by being anti-Trump and pinning the economic malaise of the country on him and the Republicans. There is no Democratic agenda. There is no Democratic alternative. And Mamdani is a huge risk to the Democratic Party. So I agree with your assessment about where we stand, but Trump and the White House have to take this as a wake-up call. If they don't, they will be in serious trouble.
You know, the inflation number is not bad. It's the high prices for the essentials of life that's driving people's disenchantment and anger. So, for example, gasoline prices where I live are down. They're below $3 a gallon now. But utilities are killing you. And you go to the grocery store and the restaurants, it's insane now. It's insane.
Mhm. Yeah.
All right. And people hear tariff this, they don't know what the tariff is. We explained it last night, but tariffs are not real to people. And people vote on what's real, what they can see and feel. Now, one of the criticisms I've had of the Trump administration is their messaging is not precise enough. We know what he's doing. We don't know why he's doing it. And they don't back up a lot of stuff. For example, the ICE raids. After every controversial raid, there should be an explanation. Here's what we did. This is why we did it. Here's who got thrown to the ground. We made a mistake or we didn't make a mistake. But none of that seems to be coming forth. So it's easy. It's easy for people on the fence about Trump, not the MAGA people or the Trump haters, but the people in the middle, to take a negative view if you don't get precise messaging. That's where I think the big weakness is.
You know, again, Bill, I at the risk of having to agree with you, what political communication is about is outcomes. That is, what's in it for me? How are we going to benefit from these raids? But most important, how are we going to benefit at the grocery store, the gas station, at the, bill paying each month for utilities? Why are the tariffs and the other economic policies going to benefit consumers? We don't have an answer to that.
Well, yeah, it's too early, though, for the tariffs. And then you get the Supreme Court
now. You can explain what you're trying to do, as you correctly
They got to explain how those tariffs, and he has to some extent, but it's all him. It's 100% Trump, and he is available, and he is accessible, and he does go out and do the gaggle with the press and all that, but he doesn't have the follow-up needed in the department area. Homeland Security area, agriculture, whatever. Look, Trump can't control wages and prices. The executive branch can't do that. You can do that in socialism, in communism, but you can't do it in capitalism. So he's got to have a plan and say, this is how I'm going to bring down the price of meat. But I haven't heard a plan. Have you?
Nor have I. And again, politicians want to know, voters want to know that politicians are on their side. They believe Trump is forceful and zealous. They just do not get the logic and the outcomes that he is seeking. You're right, tariffs are complicated, but what is going to be the end result in his terms and in the administration's terms? We don't know.
Well, we haven't seen. The end result is more jobs in the manufacturing sector that pay higher wages. And if you're a sophisticated person, you understand that's what could happen. Could. But it hasn't happened yet because it's only been 10 months. Now, the final area is Trump's legacy.
Mm-hmm.
This is everything to him. Everything. If he loses the midterms, the Republicans lose one or both houses, he's shot. He can't do executive order after executive order after executive order. Every single one of them will be thrown into the courts. We don't know how the courts are going to rule on the tariffs. I do believe they're going to give the president some wide discretion on the tariffs, but not everything he wants. They'll pull him back a little bit. We went over that yesterday with the law of 1974, which explicitly says the president can balance the flow of money out of here. He has the authority to do this, a national security issue. But it hasn't been portrayed as a national security issue. But it is. See, this is what I mean. But if Trump gets waxed and the Republicans lose in 26, pretty much all over for him, right?
Oh, absolutely. And the other thing you didn't mention, Bill, knowing the Democrats and their absence of a message, there will be more investigations of Trump, the Trump family, and the Trump administration.
I don't think
We
that's
will
going to, I don't think that'll be a factor. Americans are numb
no,
to that. They
but
know the
it
game.
will tie things up, Bill. To just
Yeah.
finish my point, it'll tie things up and distract from what the people really care about, which is what are you going to do, Mr. President, to make my life better?
Like the ballroom thing is not a big issue for me. Privately funded, he wants a big ballroom. He wants to have the best facility in the world for the federal government. I don't object to that, but it's a diversion, as you're saying.
That's what I'm saying.
Right. And
Precisely.
people go, well, what do we need this big ballroom when I'm paying this much money for bacon and I'm buying
Precisely.
cereal and half the box isn't there? That's the biggest con in the world. Whereas you buy the food and there's a fourth less food in the box or the can. And they've been doing
Yep.
that and nobody addresses that.
Correct.
So anyway, I can't handicap the midterms at this point because I said too much change in the air. Can you handicap it?
I can tell you now that the Democrats have a very slight advantage. In 2018, they were plus 10. At this point, they're plus 2, which means exactly what you said in your talking points, Bill, is right. This is up for grabs, but unless Trump and the Republicans take the clear message of yesterday to heart, it will go in the wrong direction. If they do listen and they are able to perform and communicate, it will be a very different outcome than the first midterm election.
All right, Doug, always appreciate it. Thanks very much.
No, my pleasure always, Bill.
Okay.